tissue paper, tissue like.
Would everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
And you put beads on them so that you can adjust it really.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Westbrook.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Bolton. Reese.
Yes.
Councilman Mueller is absent.
Do you have anybody who would like to speak at public forum? If not, consent agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Just that note that there was 2 extra bills in the bill list to pay for those 2 business grants.
Motion to approve. So moved. Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Bolton.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
We're gonna get a little update from the Black Hawk Lake Protective Association.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Westergaard, City Administrator Scott Peterson, council members, and guests. I'm Wes Niles, President of the Black Hawk Lake Protective Association. Thank you for allowing me to share with you some of the results and some of the vision that we have that will impact our shared goals of making Lakeview and Black Hawk Lake a great place. Thank you for your cooperative efforts that allow the LPA, city, county, DNR, and other agencies to come together to accomplish these shared goals. To begin with, the LPA has approved cost share for vegetation management for 2022, that being $1,875 for harvester operations and $350 for herbicide and application. Vegetation management is shared by the DNR, City of Lakeview, Sac County, and the LPA, based on the 75-25 DNR cost share formula. In year 2021, the LPA contributed $10,000 to the new fish barrier that was completed in the spring. This is an impressive and a functional structure. It was already used in the summer to lower the inlet water to control rough fish and promote vegetation growth in the inlet, something that could not previously be accomplished. During that pumping process, the LPA provided timely, immediate, and complete funding to the DNR to hire a drone operator to get multiple aerial photographs of the drawdown procedure. In later spring, the city completed the mapping of its storm sewer and drainage tile lines. The LPA partnered with the city in contributing $3,000 to this mapping project, all in an effort to improve water quality. The LPA continues its effort to improve member communications. We updated our website membership page to accommodate charitable donations options such as estate giving and IRA, 401k, RMD direct donations. We are also using exclusive photography, some from drone images, to add lake pictures and videos to our website and Facebook. This is all in an effort to keep our communication fresh and to keep and attract members. Nearly 100 people attended our annual meeting held in August. A business meeting followed a social gathering and elected Jim Dowling, Scott Onstock, and John Snyder, new members of the board. Retiring members Jim Millinacher, Frank Richardson, and Jim Scott were recognized for their service. I'm disappointed that Jim didn't bring his gift. We gave him Etch-a-Sketches and he didn't show up with it tonight. I'm disappointed he didn't bring it. But anyway, Scott Peterson gave a presentation that covered both present and future cooperative efforts shared by the city and the LPA. Ethan Tees, our watershed coordinator, brought members up to date on the ongoing work in the watershed, including stream bank stabilization projects and cover crops. Finally, Michelle Baumer with the DNR Lake Restoration Program addressed the upcoming dredge project, which she hoped would remain on track for 2022. The LPA has also committed $5,000 to the green infrastructure components for the proposed Lakeview Community Center. This allows us to support the project and also our mission to improve water quality in Black Hawk Lake. Tate Lair has donated in total over $13,000 to the BHLPA from the proceeds of all his Real Fun fishing tournaments. Tate managed another successful tournament this year, and in honor of Tate's work and his achievements, the LPA placed a tribute bench honoring him at the Shotgun Hill Trailhead. The LPA is focused on projects in the lake watershed, especially stabilizing Carmen Creek banks. We have developed a program that will encourage landowners to start and complete stream bank stabilization projects using state and LPA funding to reduce their overall costs, sometimes to zero. In the year ahead, we will continue to focus on the lake watershed and partner landowners, bringing everyone together to accomplish our common goals. We are also interested in programs that we may be able to initiate that will help manage rough fish in the lake. This may be providing an incentive for commercially harvesting carp. A plan for a new restroom near the Town Bay Fish House and 30-acre public lake access is also being discussed with the DNR. We also intend on participating in the lake vegetation management for 2023. Thank you to the city and the city of Lakeview for being such a great partner in our efforts to improve water quality and recreational benefits of Black Hawk Lake. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2145 of variance for Gary and Becky
So
Manning.
this is a variance for Gary and Becky Manning. So you know where this is, they would propose to build a standalone garage. And this is on one of those newly platted lots of Dean Tiefenthaler's directly to the east of Lakewood Ballroom. And we do have a regulation that says standalone garages are only permissible if they're built on a property within 200 feet of your primary residence. In this case, the property is a little over 300 feet from their residence. They live in the Docket condos. They did present this application then to the Board of Adjustment. The board does recommend that, has issued the variance, I guess, and then the City Council is asked to approve that resolution, or you could choose to remand it back to the board.
What was the reason given for granting the variance?
And he does have some uniqueness there as far as being relatively close where he lives, but he also owns what would have been Vern Reeder's old garage back in the day. And then he also owns another lot to the north of that, which are within 200 feet. It's not a residence, but he owns different properties. And the only response from the neighbor was a positive response. It was a split vote. There was one vote on the board against issuing it.
I'd just be afraid that you're setting a precedent and
The other, I guess the other argument there is that, so there'd be 6 lots there. Gary and Becky Manning own 3 of these garage lots on that alley. Okay? And so there is another couple of them, but James Bender owns the north one too, and he's gonna build his house on that corner lot there at Lakewood Drive and North State Road. And, you know, when he builds that house, then he'd be within 200 feet and would be able to put a garage there then too. And plans on doing it.
well, he would, but what's that got to do with Manning?
I'm just, I guess just saying it's not the only instance that's proposed out there.
But when he builds his house, he'll be within 200 feet.
He'd be compliant, yeah. Yep, true.
I make a motion, we take the recommendation of the Board of Adjustment.
Second,
I'll second it.
roll call.
Waltman. Stankin.
Yes.
Toms.
No.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the building permit, approved by Eric.
Yep.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Waltman.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Toms.
No.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, Bart's agreed to serve on the Board of Adjustment again.
Yep.
Motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Stankin,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Bolton,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Who wants to get paid? Phase one.
Hold on 1 second. Off on the notes. Yeah, so this would just be payment then for phase one of the water main project for Evapco. So the project itself is basically all of the water main that's on the Evapco campus. The project is complete, everything is fine. This pay estimate number one would pay everything except for the retainage. Total on that's $121,596.50. And we go ahead and approve payment for this if payment comes from TIF.
Go ahead, motion to pay estimate number one.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
roll call.
Bolton,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, CDBG grants.
Yeah, this would just be, again, the request to submit payment to the state of Iowa, so it's payment number 11. The total amount's $10,426, so I'll ask for one motion on that, and then a second motion on approving payment of that amount to Region 12.
Have a motion to approve the request.
Yes.
Second,
I'll second it.
roll call.
Reese,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Bolton.
Yep.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the payment.
So moved.
So moved.
Dave,
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Bolton,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, the possible next steps from the community center. The council all got this paper.
Yeah, just within the council packet, we had listed a couple of potential next steps that had been mentioned about the possibility of purchasing land for the community center, or possibility then of hiring some professional assistance to an engineer or architect then to help us along. So with the goal, short-term goal is to update cost estimates and know that the cost estimates that we've been using on the project are updated and correct. Before we turn to that though, let's talk just briefly about the land. And if you flip to page 15, you see that memorandum of understanding that we have with Boulder. So we do have an understanding about purchasing that land. What we did was this was the document that we used for grant applications to show some site control over grant applications. But saying that the city would intend to buy 4.2 acres, the cost would be $50,000. This agreement would be in place until, if final design work for the community center is not initiated by January 1st of '23, then the understanding would be null and void. And then if the city did go ahead and purchase the land, and then the construction of the community center did not occur, that Boulders would have the first right of refusal to purchase the property back at $50,000. So talked with Mike Seymour about that then, just specifically about that last one, first right of refusal. And for the moment, he says he sure would like to remain in any of the agreements. He says maybe this could be a discussion later on, but for now it says first right of refusal on it. When you look at the
Did you announce who the owners are?
Boulders,
Cobblestone.
Boulders in Lakeview LLC, and that's the three original owners of Boulders. So it's Mike Seymour and Jay Martin and who's the other? Tim Snyder.
Tim Stewart.
Tim
Because there's
Stewart.
still people that think it's local owners, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, they've had it for a couple of years, haven't they? Jamie?
Yes, more than probably
Several
three.
years.
3 or 4 years?
3 years.
Is the
yeah.
other thing of note on the property is the proposed area of sale. About 4.2 acres that proposes that Boulders would retain the lots on the highway. So this would actually be set back off of the highway away, so they still have this highway frontage then for sale for business purposes.
Well, personally, I'd like to see the costs of the construction updated before we do any purchase of the land. I think that's the prudent thing to do here. I think, according to this, we have until January 1 of '23 to buy the land, so it's not gonna go anywhere. So,
I agree.
do we need a motion to that effect, or? is it just
Can we talk through this thing that was sitting on your, at your seat here first? And this has come up about hiring some assistants to come up with these numbers. So what I wanted to run through with you is the process that we used for the library expansion project. And this being as about an economical process that we could come up with. Okay, here's how the engineering on that works, just starting at the top. There's two parts of it, structural part and then the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical part. Structural part was that at the time Wall Lake Lumber prepared the plans, they prepared the supplies list, and then this firm named Engineering and Technical Services, they're out of T, South Dakota. They did some plan review, made changes to be consistent with engineering principles, but then they stamped the plans with their professional engineering certification. We're able to be compliant that way in the fact that we have certified plans, but that note there's no shop drawing review, and there was no on-site anything, no project inspection that went along with that. But the cost was $3,000, just a real economical way to be able to have legit and real certified plans. But when you think about the plans, and knowing that there was a $350,000 project, the certified plans from the engineer were 3 sheets. And then that was it. So, and it did not include anything then pertaining to electrical, plumbing, or mechanical. So that's the distinction there. The structural stuff could be approved by the $3,000 engineer. We did have engineer do all of the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical stuff, and there was formal specifications that were written up on all that, and you can see what the costs were there. For the construction documents, he was at $10,800. Bidding was $700, and $2,000 of construction administration. That administration being one on-site visit, the interaction with the contractors, and that they did review shop drawings for all of the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical parts. So there's been some discussion about using this similar process to begin work on the community center, and we were able to utilize this process then to come up with some more updated costs.
Well, so then, I'd like to make a motion that we give you the authority to pursue the engineering with Lakeview Lumber and any other, contractor entity engineering plan that's associated with them, kind of along the same format.
And
Is
to use
that
TIF
real
funds to pay
clear?
for it.
Is that real clear?
To use TIF funds to pay for it, not.
And use TIF funds to pay for it?
John?
Or do you want to have more discussion?
I want to play a little devil's advocate here. I guess it's for our lawyer here to talk about, Dave, so, okay, if we don't buy it, and we just got this agreement, could they back out of the agreement at any time and say, we were offered $75,000 for this, so if you didn't buy it, you won't have to be able to have it anymore? I mean, if they decide, you know how money talks, so I'm just...
Yeah, a memorandum of understanding is not generally a binding document. It basically sets forth the process by which you will come to an agreement. So yes, there's ways to back out of it.
Well, I guess food for thought here. If we were gonna buy that with private donated funds, is that kinda what we were talking about? And we know they will take it back, but isn't it a little bit more, important that we protect ourselves with that? That we own it then, no matter if it takes a little longer, or whatever might be the case, that we still have control of it?
Right, if there's consideration for the memorandum of understanding that it becomes enforceable, and the city would hold it, but couldn't resell it without honoring the right of first refusal.
Right, so, but they couldn't take it from under our, if we, in the same memorandum, that they could take it away from them just because somebody else offered more money? Are we still?
Not if you turn it into an option by paying the money.
So, I don't know if I'm on the same page with you guys here, so you're saying this agreement we have with them is not binding?
It's a guide, it's not legally enforceable, it just sets forth the party's state of mind and their intentions.
I guess I've talked to Dave about this a little bit. I don't see a problem with buying the land because we were gonna use the donated money, it wasn't gonna be city funds. So I don't know what difference that really makes, if the engineering in that, but I do agree with Dave that the engineering has to be, all of that has to be done before the city kind of move forward. I guess I didn't see where the two were tied together so much. So,
They're not linked by the documents, but just as a process going forward, we need to have certified engineer approved
Definitely.
plans.
Right.
Definitely we need to do that. I just don't see where we need to really wait for the land, especially when the city's not paying for it, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I think that's what Whitey's point is.
Exactly.
Why not make it binding?
And I kind of
And
agree.
if you got a right of first refusal,
That makes
what's
sense.
the downside
Especially
of
when
the
it's
city?
now.
You've just seen people come in here and undercut other things, and I just don't want that to happen.
You know, as far as guys that own the motel, you know, if there's a community center there, they have a lot to gain by that.
Yes.
So I'm gonna assume, you know,
Don't wanna
that
see
they're
them.
not gonna sell it to anybody else. And that's,
Don't wanna see 'em.
you know, why we have the agreement we have now, so I'm,
But so what do you think is the problem with the foundation buying the land? I mean, why do you think that should, I don't see
Well,
where it's
because
tied to the engineering.
well, because in the bottom line, the city's gonna own the property, I think. You know, just in case something happens and this thing doesn't happen, you know, I'm pretty confident that it's gonna happen, but
But I mean, if it doesn't, then we sell it or we use it. You know, 5 years ago, I said you could use this land for housing, you could use it for an assisted living facility, which I still think is a viable project for this community. I know there's been talk about daycare, I don't have any knowledge of that kind of a plan, but I said that 5 years ago, I still say it. I think it's the cheapest land around you can buy, but I'm not exactly, I'm a little unclear as to how the two are really connected when you have this agreement and then they're gonna purchase it back. Or you're gonna use it for something else, and it doesn't cost the city any money, but again, I'm open for suggestion.
We normally don't do this, but go ahead, because it's a council meeting, go
Well,
ahead.
I'm looking at the memorandum here, and you're talking about, and I think that, and I don't know this as an assumption, but this Mike Seaman did this agreement for a community center. I agree with what Vicky's saying, there's a lot of great potential uses, but is he gonna sell it to the city at 50 grand if we're not building a community center? Because they have so much to gain by the community center.
Well, I think, well, the way I took it was, they've got first refusal, so if they said, we want it back, then yeah, that's what we have to do.
Right, if we don't put a community center there.
Right, but
So we wouldn't be able to use it for something else.
you could if they said, we've just changed our mind, we're gonna take it back,
Okay.
then we could.
Can I,
That's what I understood.
can I speak?
Yep, go ahead.
I'm Connie East and I'm president of the foundation. I can tell you right now, I am depositing checks every day, like a good half dozen of them, anywhere from, most of the gifts are above $200, up to $5,000. People are for this, and we are having a lot of anonymous donors because they're afraid of backlash. So something this is ridiculous, and we definitely have the money.
Well, and I'm not gonna debate it, I'm just pointing out some stuff that's in this memorandum here that I've read. I'm for an event center.
But I think we should just buy the land and then go
But
from there.
we have an agreement in place that we have until 2023 to buy it.
Yeah, but if somebody comes in with more money, that agreement can go by the wayside. I'd
Like-
say we
like-
protect ourselves.
Well, like what Dave says, the event center is gonna more offset the hotel. There's nothing else that's gonna be better for the hotel than the event.
That doesn't mean anything, money talks. And assuming, you know what assume means. I wouldn't assume anything.
You know, so if the city buys it now, then we've got to maintain it for the next year, and what we're gonna do with it for the next year.
Maintain it, big deal.
Okay, I'm just pointing out some stuff.
Yeah, plant crops.
It's
Let's do this,
planted crops.
Vicky, you had a motion to.
Do the engineering.
Do the engineering, let's get that out of the way.
So-
Give the library, that's
It was a
using
long,
tip.
that's a
So
long.
is it that you'd authorize the administrator to obtain the engineering quotes, and with the understanding then that the city pays the engineering costs from TIF?
That's a good way to shorten
what,
it up.
and I guess what that'll determine, it'll give us, you know, right now, we're kinda picking numbers out of the air, because we don't, you know, whether it's gonna be steel, whether it's gonna be wood, you know, cost for the center is all gonna vary. I know it's gonna cost more than what it is, but this way, we got some hard facts that people know, and those who are still willing to give are gonna give. Buying the property does one thing for when you're doing some fundraisers, you can go out and say, we do have the land bought. And if this does fall on its face, we won't be out nothing, and we could go back to the hotel. This doesn't, this takes away that gray area. We own it, this is the plans, but if we don't have the plans work out, come to do your advertising, doing your raising of funds, knowing that the land, everybody thinks, well, they own the land, or don't they own the land? This way, you say you actually own the land, so.
Connie? How much do you have so far in donations?
Do you want pledges or just donations?
Pledges, because they'll turn into donations.
Well, pledges and donations, 170,000.
Along with, what's the total number with the grants?
That is the total number that I have in the foundation right now. That does not count the,
That doesn't count the grant.
no, that does not count the grant. That does not count the grant. That is simply donations.
Scott has one more thing before we ask for a second.
Yeah, just as we're discussing this engineering stuff, look at the bottom of this engineering sheet that I had, because I do have one more thing for you then. To have a third component of engineering as far as stuff in regards to preparing the site. I do think that we need to have a site plan and a plan to address drainage. You guys have seen the drainage come rolling through there, okay? So that would be working with somebody else to at least do a site plan drainage study, which rolls into this grant application. I put in the pre-application for the WQI's water quality infrastructure. That's the green infrastructure grant. And in order to put forth the best looking application, we do need to have all of the data that supports the type of green infrastructure that's being put in there. So, you know, I do want to work with on-site plan then.
And I want you to have the freedom to work, I mean, not just with one, like one entity. I mean, we'd like to work through Lakeview and Wall Lake Lumber, but we also had a contractor for the library that kind of had an engineering firm too, so I just think you shouldn't be limited, we should just see where we get the best deal.
Who was the contractor for that?
Scott.
Do I have a second on Vicky's motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Tom,
Yes.
Voltman,
Yes.
Reese.
So this means you are gonna buy the ground?
This only deals with engineering.
Engineering plans.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Now do you want to talk about the foundation buying the ground?
I do, because it would be the foundation, could we have someone from the foundation
What do
give
you
us
want
an
me to say?
update?
Give you an update on what?
Well, not just the foundation, but the committee, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
more the committee.
I of course, being 6 years into the community center project, am wholeheartedly in favor of purchasing the land with the private dollars that we have secured through folks, because that is their vote of support that says we are in favor of the community center project as it, as it is presented today. And the other piece that, and true, there might be some fluctuation in the total end dollar price, and that just reconfirming where that lies gives us another opportunity to reach out to our supporters to continue to fundraise with the added value that says, we're committed to this project, we've purchased the land, it's the next step in moving this forward. So it's a show of, I think, a good faith effort, if you will, for this the project moving in that direction. I do hear some safeguards, even with the purchase of that, regarding if this fails, which I just don't see happening with the level of support that we have received from the area. We could, turn around and that land could go back to the hotel, which would make sense for them to do that. But it allows us, as the folks that are fundraising for this project, to clear up that gray area, show that next level of commitment to the project being completed and moving forward, because it has been a slow process just with the amount of background work that we've done to get to this point with the surveys and the research and working with the Small Business Development Corporation and the grant writing, et cetera. That just all takes an enormous amount of time when you've got all volunteers doing the work and of course Scott. So I would greatly appreciate that as, someone that's been working on this project. I think my other fellow committee members would agree with that are here tonight as well. So we would appreciate that vote of confidence as the project moves forward.
Dave, I'm gonna ask you a question again. Buying this, does that put us in better position of controlling that property as long, till whatever we decide to get rid of it? Where there wouldn't be a chance then they could undermine this and get rid of it or sell it?
Yeah, right now, this is just an agreement to agree. And if any one of those conditions doesn't occur, then the Boulders could back out of it.
So Dave Boltman, do you have a problem with purchasing the land, or Terry? At this, since we're not using city funds,
I'd personally like to see the engineer report first.
but we're not using city funds.
I don't care.
Oh,
I would rather see it. We've had a lot of luck with engineers, you know how that goes. I think we need to, that part of the business and get in, it ain't gonna, a couple months, maybe 3-4 months, to do that. And I think that'd be a smart move.
I just don't want someone that's against this project.
I don't think
No.
you have too much.
Just let me,
I do.
just let me finish. I just don't want someone that's against this project, since it is kind of been a controversial thing, to come in with a lot of money and try to stop it in that manner. I don't know that, I have no reason to think that, I'm just trying to think outside of the box.
I think we are too, or I am.
I think the missing piece here is, let's say the engineer number comes back and it's, it's $100,000 higher. The efforts and the opportunities that we have with fundraising, which at this point, we have, as a person that raises money professionally every day, we've barely scratched the surface of our efforts to raise the money. We haven't dug down hard like you would, to reach the end of a goal. So this is kind of just casting that wide net, if you will, with the return of letters, and we're seeing a much higher return than you would with any other mailing type of campaign. So the dollars are out there, and we're getting the low-hanging fruit at this point, which has been a phenomenal return.
Yeah, it has, and the donations are out of Lakeview. We are not, the alumni have not come through yet. These are people in Lakeview.
Yeah. So I feel very confident about the dollars that are out there to supply any extra costs that might come along for the project.
I think donors will be very disappointed if we lose the land. And I think we're just protecting ourselves by buying it.
Well, I do too. I think it protects the project, and if there was some anomaly that came through that was an outlier and bought the ground out from underneath this project, because you can't control what people think, it's not legally binding. There's been a lot of effort that it would be a permanent stain on this community, and I see I'm a very forward thinker, and I see after the community center is up and going, that we as a committee start working on other projects, whether it's assisted living or another enhancement of the park. I mean, we work well as a team together, and we've gotten a lot of great projects completed. I don't know if Scott's up for it, but but if you look at our history of success with the splash pad and the playground, we've accomplished some really great things for the community, and I don't see that coming to an end once the community center is built.
I'm also worried about what it will do to the foundation if you back out in it. I mean,
I don't think Connie, there's any chance we're gonna back out at this point.
well, I just don't want to lose the land.
I guess with Dave's comment, I'm open to the fact of buying the property now. Yeah, there's a risk if we don't, but it's gonna be private dollars to do it, not the tax.
Well, no, that guarantee we got control of the
Yeah.
Paul,
property.
did you have something I'd like to hear from you?
I think we ought to buy it because there's no downside. If you don't buy it, there's a downside.
That's right.
There's no downside to the city.
That's what I'm taking out of Dave's comments, that,
And so Dave, can you talk through the process a little bit about what the process would look like to purchase this? So we're not buying the entire parcel, so we need a description of.
Right, we're gonna need a legal description, and probably that's gonna require a survey. And then we draft up a purchase agreement that puts the terms in there. And some of the terms from the memorandum of understanding would be incorporated into the purchase agreement, as well as the right of first refusal. And then we would fund it and close it.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
So, I wanna make sure that we get this
Let
motion
me ask,
proper.
Buying
let me
the
ask one more
property.
question before we have the vote. So who would the title holder be?
City.
Who would have the purchase option? Would it be the foundation or
So it's the city.
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 Yep.
the city? Okay,
Um,
okay, thanks.
Again, is the motion that we're purchasing the property, or is it we're preparing a purchase contract?
Preparing the purchase contract.
What is the difference?
That it require,
Well,
somebody's
maybe a
gotta
combination,
still
right?
follow through and purchase execute the contract, then win the contract.
Let's get it both done now.
Yeah.
That's my motion, or his motion.
Right,
And Dave
the
said,
purchase.
clear as mud.
Clear as mud.
Not as clear as that one a few weeks ago was.
Just buy the
Just
damn property.
talk about
so
that
let's
one.
get after it.
Oh, that's not.
Hi.
Let's see what
Okay, so
happens.
so who had motion? You had Wade.
Wade, Dave second.
Purchase
To
property.
draw up the purchase agreement and to purchase the property.
Using the
Using the
foundation.
foundation.
Foundation funds, yep.
Motion to drop purchase agreement, purchase the property, and we would use funds from the foundation.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Boltman,
Yes.
Reese? Tom?
Yes.
Okay, city administrator report?
Thank you.
Thanks for the committee.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a couple things about the water plant, an eye wash station in the water plant. The most recent sanitary survey there had really required that we need to get an eye wash station in there. I think we may have one, but it hasn't functioned for a long time.
Yeah, it hasn't functioned. It's just a sink with one little deal on it. It is not.
It's not high tech?
No. And it's tore apart right now. If somebody gets splashed with chlorine or the muriatic acid that we use, they ain't gonna get cleaned up good enough.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with that.
Second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Okay, Tom?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Bolton?
Dean, how soon will you have that in?
I will order it tomorrow,
Okay.
and as soon as it gets here, it'll be in.
Okay, that's good, because we don't wanna, just in case, I'm just saying.
You know, you jinxed Dave one night.
Couple of other things. We are in line yet to receive that grant for the Evaco water line project. It's looking like it'll be about $418,000 from the federal EDA. They've asked for some additional information, which we've provided to them. One thing that we need to provide to them yet will be an archaeological study. So we will get things rolling on that, and it needs to happen about within the next 6 weeks or so. So, we'll get somebody.
What's that entail? We gotta hire somebody to do that, or does Dean go there with the backhoe and look?
No.
Oh, okay.
More than anything, it is a record search.
Oh, okay.
It's a record search, and then they do come out and do field work on it, but, I say fact of the matter is the entire project area is in the road right away. I mean, it's all been, so.
So this is all for the part we're gonna do this next spring, right, going out to
Yes.
Quincy.
Anything else?
We're gonna meet with our electrical engineer tomorrow and discuss more about the options on that electrical dredge.
Could you give us some info on that?
Just
We don't really have
so there's one of the dredge operators who is looking to submit a bid, runs his dredge as an electric dredge. But, of course, it takes massive amounts of power to run that. So, we got some preliminary information from him. Jeff's been in contact with our engineer about that. We have another phone call with the engineer tomorrow. The load has gone down a little bit, which might make it more feasible. But this likely does require some physical infrastructure installation to make this happen.
What's the benefit after it's done dredging?
We need to know that.
Yeah, because like I said, if that's something we don't need after the dredge project, it's, to me, a waste of money to.
Right. Because the contractor pays.
That's the other thing, and unless something were to come along to change my mind, we would do a construction deposit agreement. Basically, they'd be responsible for the cost of construction.
Okay, well, like I said, let's not go in there thinking it's a great deal until they tell us it's a great deal.
Well, so how much authority do we have over all that? Do the bids go into the DNR?
They do, yep. As far as them awarding the dredge bid, I mean, we have no input into that at all. We're just working with a potential bidder about being able to offer them electric service.
So if we find out that it's gonna cost $100,000 to build a whatever, so they could do it, that agreement would they'd have to put that into their bid with the DNR, so they could pay us to do that.
So our part in it is to see if we want to, if this is something we can afford to provide, and we either say yes or no.
Well, I mean, we would do
Well, I
this
know,
because
but-
it would pay and we would make money. You know,
Exactly,
that's
I know,
the
but I
only
mean,
reason.
like, it would be something we would have to set up for him, right?
Yeah.
The first thing Jared looked at was whether or not we could withstand that, because when we're doing it in the summertime is our high peak. So that's this thing he's concerned with, which we'll talk with him tomorrow and find out what he thinks, but that's where we're a little concerned.
Yeah, we don't need any power outages.
Right.
Turn off all day, that's.
Just don't do something that
If
costs you more
Babco keeps
labor.
building, I'd rather stick money to them.
Do we, I mean, are there usually multiple bidders for this type of a project?
I believe so, yeah.
So, this isn't really,
About that.
Oh, it's far from a done deal. And matter of fact, talking with this electric dredger operator, he kind of gave me the indication that his bid would likely be higher. And, because he made some comment about them needing to see the environmental benefits of using electric over diesel. So we'll see how.
alright.
Yep, Northwest Iowa League's in Storm Lake, and that's next Thursday, the 16th. I do think I will take a couple of days off this week, Thursday and Friday.
Just wait till it gets cold and then do it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. Motion to adjourn,
I'll make it.
second. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.